I'm going to show you how I use the coiling gizmo to make jump rings now. I use the smaller rod that comes with the coiling gizmo kit, and this is some 18 gauge copper wire I'm going to demonstrate with, and I'm tucking it into the jaws of the chuck, and I'm just going to turn a simple coil. You don't have to worry if they're right close to one another because you're going to cut them all apart in a moment anyway. Now I'm going to use my flush cutter. This is the wire cutter that has a totally flat back to it. And I'm going to cut off the excess here, the straight part, with the flush side of the cutter facing the coil, facing what will be the finished jump ring, and the beveled part of the cut facing the scrap that we're going to throw away. When you use a flush cutter, the flat side of the blade makes a totally flat cut. To make the second cut for the jump ring, I'm going to flip the tool over so the flat side faces the other way, and right next to where I made the last cut, I'm going to make my next cut. So I have a complete circle with two flat edges that'll butt up against one another. There's your jump ring. I'm going to cut two more now. Each time you make that second cut, you're going to wind up with this nasty, sharp little bevel on it. Flip your tool over so the flat side faces what will be your next jump ring. Nip off the excess, just the little short bevel that's on there. Turn the tool over so the flat side faces the other way. Cut your next loop back. Cut them as close to as you can to a circle. There's another jump ring. Flip the tool over now to cut off the sharp little bevel that we just left on there. Turn the tool over, flat side facing the opposite direction. Now we have three perfect little jump rings. I'm going to put them on the block now and show you how I further finish them. After I've cut my jump rings apart, I'm going to use my bent nose plier, holding that jump ring at 3 o'clock on the clock dial, with the opening up here at noon. And with my loop closer pliers, these are the ones that have the notches cut into the tips, I'm going to put that opening in the top notch and swing the lower jaw up underneath and very gently hug. And that closes your jump ring. But to make it oval, what you do is go back in, put them in the notch again, put the jump ring in the notches, and gently hug it a little bit more. And just a little bit more of a hug ovals the jump ring. I'm going to do one more for you. Hold it with the opening at noon. Put that opening in the top notch of the loop closer plier. Swing the lower jaw up. Hug it gently to close the jump ring. And just a little bit more of a hug ovals the jump ring. One more. I use oval jump rings for strength because they don't spin in circles and you never wind up with your elements hanging on the openings, which makes them come apart. Once again, opening at noon in the top notch, hug gently and hug a little bit more to oval it. Now I'm just going to take my other steel block and give this a whack to strengthen them a little more. And that's it. Perfect oval jump rings, as strong as can be. I showed you how to make jump rings using my style, using the wire cutter, but using the coiling gizmo and the mandrels that come with the gizmo, you can make jump rings just like a silversmith would. Coil tightly around the rods and then just use a jeweler's saw to cut them apart. And then to make them hard, instead of hammering between steel blocks, you can put them in a tumbler with steel shot and burnishing soap to harden those jump rings up. I also use the coiling gizmo for twisting wire together. Sometime 2 different colors, sometime 3 different colors. But in this case, I've taken a 2-foot long piece of 18 gauge copper wire and folded it in half. I'm going to take this loop end here and put my bent nose pliers in it in a moment. But the other 2 loose ends I'm going to put into the chuck and honk down on it real hard to keep them in there good and tight. Put my bent nose at the other end, and I'm holding it with just a little bit of tension, not too much, but just a little consistent tension. And I'll start twisting. Just a little consistent tension is what's going to give you the nice even turns at the end. If you lose your tension sometime, the loops are bigger in one area. The twists are bigger in one place than they are in the other. And after you get your twists to the size you want them to be careful because you put a lot of tension in the process of twisting this together, so be careful it doesn't snap up on you. Remove it from the chuck. And I can use this twisted wire on my jig or to make into beautiful twisted wire beads. I'm going to take this piece of 16 gauge wire now and turn a loop at the top. I'm going to the second mark on my tool here so I can make the same size loop on both ends. Hold my hand still here, rotate the wire over the top. It forms an O with a tail. I'm going to slip the bead on the other end, turn it over. I'm going to nip off my excess wire right here. Make a sharp bend, elbow bend. Once again, take my tool, rotate, turn a loop over the top. Now this bead is ready to be included in a chain of beads. To use oval jump rings, you use them just like a regular round one. Twist it open. Twist them just as far as you need to in order to get your pieces hung on. Add your elements. Go back in and twist it closed. And if it's not aligned perfectly, use your flat tool, a tool that has flat innards, and give it a squish. No matter what you do, with an oval jump ring, the opening's always going to be here at the side, so you're never going to have things hanging on the weak part of your link.